Mom, Wendy Decker, just spoke at her 3 babies memorial. I will warn you, it is heartbreaking. It's hard not to cry. I have watched this several times and it's very, very emotional.
I just have a short thing to share. Good evening, and thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. You all look beautiful, and I know that Evie would have loved to ooh and ah over all of your outfits. She would have been amazed by all the color out there and just thought you guys look fantastic. You know that Paityn would have sought each and every one of you out to try to find something to give you a compliment for. She did that for everyone, whether it was in the grocery store or at school or with me, always telling me, "Oh, you look so beautiful, Mom. I love your earrings," or whatever it was that she could find. I wanted to share a means of connection the girls and I had that I think allowed them to have such warm and open hearts to the community around them. After my divorce, there were a lot of feelings flowing through my house. As you could imagine, me going through a divorce with 3 small, tiny women. Some of the feelings were easier to talk about than others. Through the girls' time with Children's Home Society and some incredible therapists, we discovered the 3 feelings. At night, during their bedtime routine, I would ask them what 3 feelings they felt during that day. No feeling too big or too small, and what was going on when they felt those feelings. For Paityn, she always had more than 3, consistently eager to tell me about every minute of her day. She was always interrupting her sisters to make sure I knew every single one. For Ev, we would talk about her feelings one-on-one, right at bedtime, because she wasn't always ready to share them with her sisters. And for Olivia, we were still working on how to describe all of her feelings, but beyond a shadow of a doubt, one was always happy. Even when I tried to avoid telling my feelings, which is so easy to do as an adult, I feel like, the girls, one of them would always say, "Wait, Mom, you didn't tell me what yours were," and make sure that I too would tell them what my 3 feelings were. I'm so thankful for the time that I had with the girls, and how the 3 feelings allowed us to connect when the world slowed down, and it really gave me an inside look into their day. I believe doing this with them allowed them to come into the world with open hearts and kindness. I hope that you are all able to do some version of the 3 feelings with your loved ones. Thank you everyone for being here tonight and the outpouring of love that you have shown me and my family over the past few weeks. I truly hope that the legacy of the girls' lives lives in everyone's heart forever. They were incredible.
Please don't forget to say a prayer for Wendy Decker, the mother of these 3 beautiful angels, and the emotional wreck she must be with her ex-husband on the loose and not knowing when this will end. God bless each and every one of you. Well, happy Sunday to my beautiful people on the ether. I'm Bullhorn Betty. I cover true crime, and we are covering the case of Travis Decker, but this is related to the 3 girls, Paityn, Evelyn, and Olivia. And yesterday there was a beautiful memorial, and Whitney Decker spoke at that memorial, and listen, I don't know how this lady has the strength. I can't imagine her dealing with what she has dealt with and being able to go and look at a bunch of strangers in their face. And I know it has to do because she wants to tell the world about our 3 beautiful daughters. And the words that she spoke were just so beautiful and so heartbreaking and just earth-shattering that I think many people watch because we're just amazed with this lady's strength. I don't know how she does it. The words she said about her 3 beautiful daughters were beautiful. They were amazing. And many of you guys know we've been following this case for some time. And Travis Decker are these 3 children's fathers. And he is on the run. Law enforcement still hasn't found him. And we are moving into our 4th week This is the 4th week. We did hear from Sheriff Morrison, and what he has told us is that they have found some items. Those items have been submitted for processing, that this is not the only homicide in Washington, and this stuff is taking time. The priority of this case, though, we have the U.S. Border Patrol heading this investigation. I can't imagine it taking weeks and weeks and weeks to get, DNA back from a manhunt that, the victims were 3 sisters. And this was senseless. I'm not sure. I don't know if I've heard of another case like this going on in Washington that wouldn't push this case to the top. And I understand they can't do, push people out of the way, but in certain cases, they can do just that. Not that it's right, but when something takes more precedence, like a crazed lunatic on the run in the mountains. They say this is an isolated incident. How do they know? Vivster? No, they have not found him. We're going into the 4th week. Travis Decker is still on the run. I don't know when he is going to be found. I'm not one that believes he's on the run. I'm not, I understand law enforcement is out there looking for somebody, but I think he is deceased, somewhere waiting to be found. I've always felt that way. I may very well be wrong, but that's how I've always felt. It's just that I'm looking at the statisticals when it comes to, the family annihilator makeup, as well as the military makeup, as well as the, whole situation. And it just seems like he would be unalive. I mean, statistically. So I'm just, AC man, they say he's in the woods, but I'm waiting for that connection. Once we get some DNA and they say definitively, yes, this attaches to Travis Decker, well, then we will know for sure. But I just don't, I don't know why. I feel I was there with Laundry. And Laundry, they were all over the place looking for him, and he was deceased out in the woods 1,500 meters or yards from where they found his vehicle. And they couldn't find him for 5 weeks. So I don't know. I just have different experiences, and without having anything definitive, no sighting, no Ring doorbell camera footage being turned over, nothing other than that helicopter, it just, to me, seems odd. And even Sheriff Morris says they can't for sure determine if the guy that they saw in the helicopter was Travis Decker. I don't know if they got a description of who was down there. They just saw something running, I would presume. And if they do, they need to analyze it. Did the person have long brown hair or long black hair? Could he have been XYZ height? I don't know. I read he has mountain survival. Yes, he does have mountain survival training and can stay out in the woods for months on end. But that doesn't, yes, he can have it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's the case. I know what I was meaning to tell you guys. I think I figured it out. You remember the Sheriff Morrison said something like there are sympathizers out there. And I figured out what must have happened. So the way I kind of think that this all played out is during their search, they must have found a supply kit that must have had a note from somebody, for Travis to imply the help. So they had to have come, because he was absolutely adamant, and it kind of came out of left field. There's like, sympathizers could be out there helping him. We're like, what? Like, we hear this stuff online, but we don't really think people are actually doing stuff in action, like putting stuff out there. But the only way I can think that this would come just from left field, nobody was thinking about, helping him or anything. At least I wasn't. And until we heard this, I'm like, what? And so the only thing I can think of is they must have, during their search, found these kits that somebody must have set out there for him, knowing it's not him. Because they do believe he could have set up caching. I don't believe that. I don't think in 7 days he would have had enough time. They're trying to say that this man that loved his kids was this mastermind that planned this stuff 7 days before. So a lot of their assessments and assumptions, I don't know. I'm listening to Wendy's words, and you know, we heard her words before. She describes a broken man, not this vicious monster. So I'm having to weigh between law enforcement's assessment and Wendy, who knows this man intimately. And I have to think, you know, that she may have just a hint, you know, like a hint of denial in all of this. And I get that because we're in this situation, but I can't believe that this lady is this off base, you know? So I have to, that's what's kind of making me feel like this hopeless and helplessness just hit him. And I just don't believe he's running. I believe he's deceased somewhere. And until they find him, I don't know if that's going to change my mind. Or they find some item way, you know, like in Ingle Creek that can, you know, that's attached to him. Well, that's 20 miles away from where there's no way trash would have blown from their campsite 20 miles away. Okay. So now we've got some stuff that's more definitive. But anyways, check out the video I just dropped. I will tell you, have some tissues around it. I've watched it. And there's not one time I can watch that without just boo-hooing. I mean, my heart breaks for this lady. I don't know what else to say. And just to see her strength. And I say this all the time. I don't know where the strength comes from in some of the parents, you know, even like I've got relationships with, Jennifer Santinello, Seth Rogers, you know, these are people that, Kaylee Gonzalez's family, you know, we interviewed them several years ago. And I got to tell you, the one thing that just amazes me with these parents is their strength. I truly don't know where their strength comes from, you know, when most of us would just be shattered and broken and can't even comprehend or even speak. And they're having to forge forward. And it's just amazing. And I don't know where they get it, but God gives them something. Anyways, happy Sunday, y'all. And we'll see you guys soon. But like I said, if you guys are going to watch the most recent video I dropped last night, get some tissue. You're going to need it. God bless.